And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to A Bookish Moment. I am your host for today, Sarah Burr. J.C. once again sends his regards. I hope everybody can send him some good healing wishes because he is having his final eye surgery today so that he can be back in fighting form. So any prayers and thoughts you can send his way would be most certainly appreciated. And I am delighted that we have a fabulous guest to talk cozy mysteries this afternoon. But before we do, and I introduce our wonderful guest, I do have a sponsor for today's episode, which is very, very exciting. We always appreciate when we have an episode sponsor. Today's episode of A Bookish Moment is brought to you by voice actor Rosemary Cline. She's an audiobook narrator who is in love with cozy mysteries and a strong female. She's an audiobook narrator who is in love with cozy mysteries and a strong female lead. You can hear her work and terrific stories and in the Cassandra Sato Mysteries, which is a 5-book series by Kelly Brakenoff that's available on audio. So a big thank you to Rosemary for sponsoring today's episode, which features the wonderful, the fabulous Lisa Q. Mathews. Lisa, welcome back to A Bookish Moment. It's great to see you.
Hi, Sarah. So happy to be back, and thank you so much. I'm sorry JC isn't here, but I'm very, very excited to be here with you.
Yes, and he said, make sure you tell Lisa I say hi. So I have done so. And so we're going to have some good fun today. We've got lots of stuff happening in our chat right now. Give me just a second to say hello to everybody. We've got M.A. Monin saying, looking forward to hearing from Lisa Mathews today. We've got Books by Patricia saying hello. Farmhouse Reader says, good afternoon to you both. Books by Patricia says, sending good healing wishes to JC. Thank you, Patricia. We appreciate that. We have Regina the Southernista saying, good afternoon, JC. Hoping JC feels better soon. I really enjoy the second book in the series. So there is somebody who has read both books out there, Lisa. We have M.A. Monin saying, how cool. Susan Worrell saying, hello, Lisa and Sarah. And then Farmhouse Reader rounding us out with prayers for the best possible outcome to JC. Thank you, everybody. You are so kind. So let's go and let's have some bookish fun today. Lisa, tell us, for folks who may have missed the first time that you came and visited us, share a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your writing journey. What brought you to the world of cozy mysteries?
Yes, well, I like a lot of us mystery lovers, I grew up reading Nancy Drew and at first the Bobbsey twins, and and I know we all say that, but I found myself in one of my first jobs after college as a Nancy Drew and Bobbsey twin editor. So
Yes.
I worked on the Stratemeyer books, on the newer ones. Well, newer. This was in the late 80s and early 90s. So that's what I was doing, and I did millions and millions of kids mysteries, and I've just always loved mysteries. And so I wrote for hire, um, wrote a bunch of kids, middle grade and young adult and older young adult, and all of these series, and some of them were Stratemeyer related, and some of them, I was kind of moonlighting as an editor in New York. You don't, when you're starting out, especially, you're not, sometimes it's a little hard to cover the rent. And so I was sort of doing, that's why I had deadlines everywhere. It was like, I wish I could meet deadlines as well as I used to. But yeah, so I did a lot of mysteries, and then it just but I always wanted to do adult mysteries also. And when I left, I happened to be an editor. My day job is as an editor, a mystery editor, and I started working on adult books. So I wrote a series called the Ladies Smythe Westin for Carina Press. I don't know, a few years back. They're ebooks, and that was fun. And Then my first, I'm doing an Irish bed and breakfast mystery series, and the first book came out about a year and a half ago. It's called The Jig Is Up. And the new one that came out in February, right before St. Patrick's Day, is called Buried in Shamrocks. And this one is set at St. Patrick's Day, like in March, and this one is set in the summer. So it's actually set, it's July. So, and when I was writing it, it was really hot and like kind of steamy, like it is here right now. I'm in New Hampshire, and um, feel as if I'm stepping back into the story now. But this uh, and I'm a mom. I have like 3 kids and almost 5 grandchildren and pets. And my husband and I are here. I'm an empty nester. So, I edit and write books. It's a great life.
What
So,
a great life, because like the number going back to editing Nancy Drew books, like if I had heard that like when I was reading them, as I think I was 7 years old when I first started reading Nancy Drew. I was like, that would be the perfect life, the perfect world to be like immersed in those books. I can't tell you how many times I started trying to write my own Nancy Drew books, but just could never
oh,
like get past like chapter 2. It's like I was like, I don't know how to write a mystery, when you're a little kid. I have to ask, like, do you have a favorite like Nancy Drew adventure that you either when you were reading them when you were young, or that when you were working on them? Because I mean, to this day, like Nancy Drew is like everything to me. So I like always love hearing that she's that she inspires so many people to become mystery authors, because that's even though like it's something that we hear a lot, it's like you only hear that I grew up reading Nancy Drew and fell in love from fellow mystery authors, it feels like.
well, yeah, it was funny because not only, there were several Nancy series. You have the
Hmm.
Harper, the the yellow spines.
Yep.
And then we have, wait, that one's yellow, right? I shared an office
Hmm.
with the Hardy. No, I'm jerking my thumb as if she's still there. So, the Hardy Boys editor. We used to we but it was actually kind of tough when you see behind the scenes. I mean, Nancy Drew had a lot of rules.
Oh, I
And because
bet.
everybody thinks of Nancy herself as being so fearless and whatever, but in order to make the books consistent,
Hmm.
and Nancy, because there were many authors writing the series, so um, part of my job as the editor was to help make them all sound consistent. So Nancy always had to sound like Nancy, and George was gonna, she had her rules of operation, and Bess was my favorite. I was
I
probably a little
I
more like
loved
Bess.
Bess so much. I felt like she was always given such like a bad rap by George and Nancy, but she was just like the most sensible one of like, hey, like let's not go like headfirst into danger and get ourselves kidnapped, or, you know, what have you. Like I just loved her so much. She was my
And she
favorite.
did the social outreach, like, she could talk a suspect to death if
Yeah.
necessary. So kind of like Flossie Bobbsey, like same deal. But yeah, but there was a lot of, so sometimes, and the other thing was that we had different levels of Nancy series. We had Nancy notebooks. I don't know, as the
Hmm.
years of Nancy went on, where she's very young. And then you had the regular digest series that we all know, like you held up there. Digest, that was the size. That's why they
Hmm.
called it digest. But that was the traditional Nancy. And then they did young adult Nancy, and then they did Nancy Goes to College. There was a series called River Heights, and it was like being the WB network or something. We were so I had to do edit two Nancy Drew books a month.
Oh,
So
wow.
just for one series,
Hmm.
that's how big the demand was. So um sometimes it's a little bit of a blur.
Oh,
So
I can
when you
imagine.
say like, so
And
which one is your favorite? It's like,
yeah. And it's also there's like a I don't know if you ever felt this way, but when you have to do something for work, that sometimes it like loses a little bit of that shimmer that it had. I always felt about that, like reading books for school, that it's like, oh, I've got to read this book for school. And it like made it less fun for me for me.
Well, it was so fast. Like you had to just keep on going. And like if people had trouble, like let's say if there was a new author working on the series and her
Hmm.
manuscript came in and it just didn't sound like Nancy or whatever, then we would have to jump in and
Fix
it,
it.
I guess it was be like on a TV show or a movie or something. You have
Hmm.
the different drafts. And eventually they would get the hang of it. It just sometimes, because we had to have all these approvals. So we were moving so fast that sometimes they would bring the whole team in to, you know, if a plot didn't get approved, like we had to approve the plots and the outlines and everything. And if they weren't approved, we would all get together and they would I've told this before, but it's they our bosses would give us um popcorn with all kinds of raw cookie dough, um, you
Ooh.
know, orange soda in particular, and all the Diet Coke. We had a fridge stocked with all the caffeine and sugar you can possibly imagine, and M&Ms, and they would just bring them all in. Never like
Ooh.
pizza because that would slow people down. That would, it's
Yep,
instead
carbs
of
would
just
put you to sleep, but sugar.
right the greasy, fatty stuff. No, 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 no. They had
Hmm.
it was like you know M&Ms were good. That was everybody's favorite. And we would just start tossing stuff around and brainstorming, like titles, for instance.
Hmm.
Like a lot of authors don't really like to do titles, but I love to do titles.
You
It's
have,
just,
I love your titles because they're so, I mean,
oh,
especially like in the cozy genre, we have like the puns, and first the jig is up, like that just like fits the world of Shamrock, Massachusetts so nicely. And then, of course, buried in Shamrocks, the imagery, but also just like the different like puns that you have to play with in cozies makes them so fun. And I know that we've talked a lot about Nancy Drew so far, but I want to talk about
oh, right. Yeah.
your book, and because we've got so many fans of yours here in the chat, and I want to make sure I got to go through all of our comments that we've had. We also have M.A. Monin saying, "I've read both and love them. Such Irish American fun." And for you guys to know, we were joking before we went live, where Lisa was saying it's like if somebody has actually read like both books in the world. So it's like you have a lot more people reading both of your books that we have here, Lisa.
Oh,
So we
that's great.
may have to revisit what your generous giveaway is.
Go
And
to,
I want to cue that up for folks so that they know that we have a giveaway opportunity this afternoon. Lisa is generously offering to send either a copy of The Jig Is Up, which is book one in the Irish Bed and Breakfast Mysteries, or book two, which is Buried in Shamrocks. So we have that option for us today. I want to let you guys know that if you are interested in the giveaway, that you can email me at giveaways@itsbookishtime.com with your interest to let us know. And if you have read both of them, as many people in the chat have already done, Lisa is going to wing it and like come up with something fun. So it's like, who knows what you're going to get, which is very exciting and very, very, very generous. So we have some questions actually already about the book in the chat for you, Lisa. So let me turn my attention there for a moment. In your second book, in Buried in Shamrocks, we have Regina the Southernista saying, it seems like there was a lot of growth with Colleen, who was kind of shallow and childish in the first book. Also, is her middle name Queen? So tell us, I guess, a little about Colleen and Colleen's development and kind of the sisterly bond that we find between her and our main character, Kate Buckley, who is kind of settling into Shamrock, Massachusetts at the beginning of book two.
yeah. Oh, well, that's so, thank you for asking about Colleen. In book one, yes, Colleen can be especially in book one, she was something of a hot mess. She's the younger sister. She's 12 years younger than her older sister. And as it turns out, I'm the younger sister to my older sister. I don't know if she's in the chat, but sorry, sis. And so we had sort of two different growing up with the same parents. But Kate and Colleen are not based on me and her at all. But Colleen makes, sometimes she makes some kind of bad decisions, and or at least what people think might be bad decisions at the time. But she has some strengths too, and I think in book two that I tried to bring a bit of them out. She doesn't give up, and she looks at things from a different angle and whatever. And Regina, thank you for asking about her name. Colleen Queen is actually kind of it's kind of an Irish Colleen Queen. I actually knew someone, more than one person they called Colleen Queen, because Colleen means little girl in Irish. And so it rhymes nicely and whatever, but the Colleen Queen, there's often a Colleen Queen in Irish dance where they're kind of like, there's the queen of the dance. And so the Colleen is quite the Irish dancer, and that's more prevalent in book one. And so that's how and my maiden name is Quinn. So it was kind of just like a little joke for me. That's why
that's
I'm Lisa
fun.
Tuna. Yeah. So
Well, because Nate, like, especially the family names are kind of really important to kind of fostering Kate's relationship with her family, because she's got this big Irish family. Everybody is like, rallying around, involved in each other's business. And this just like the warmth that the family like brings into the Buckley house is such like so charming, and so like it's the picturesque cozy. But the Buckleys they've got some competition in town. You want to maybe set the scene a little bit for us about where Kate finds herself at the beginning of Buried with Shamrocks, because not only do they have some competition with a fellow B&B in the area, but Kate's blast from the past with her ex comes into town. Set the scene for us a little bit, if you would, Lisa.
Yes, so I love writing secondary characters. Sure, I love Kate, it's written, the books are written in first person, so I'm pretty close to her. She's the fixer. She's like constantly like stressed, and I have to be careful when I'm writing her that she doesn't stress everybody out. I had one person say, "Oh my God, she's got so much to do." Oh. But she takes everything on herself, and she people sort of expect her in that role a little bit, and so she pushes back slightly, and realize she has to realize that she can't do it all. But yeah, the McShane sisters are, she calls them the wicked witches of Western Massachusetts, but they're they're these like sisters who are most unpleasant, who run the most perfect B&B across town. It's called the Smiling Shamrock, and they have everything down to um, um, they're just annoyingly seemingly perfect, but they're also very cold and very manipulative and very, condescending, and just not, it just really irks the Buckley girls that they uh, they're like Shamrock ratings that they give for the town, and the Smiling Shamrock is like the perfect tourist town destination B&B, and the Buckleys are a little more free rolling, and Kate's dad was the former police chief, and there are cops going back and forth all the time, and then there are crimes happening, of course. So it's sort of a rough road. But in book two is, definitely a sequel to one. And it's challenging sometimes when you write the second book, because you want people to be able to read the first book if they read the second one first, and still be surprised and still see, so I'm not answering quite as directly as I might because things have changed for both the Buckleys and the McShanes in book 2. And so yeah.
Well, one thing
They're fun to write.
that really stuck out to me in kind of that you don't always see in a cozy mystery was the reflection that Kate has regarding what has happened in the town. And so, I don't want to spoil things for folks who haven't read book 1, but I just thought it was really nice that the mystery that was the focus of book 1 isn't just forgotten about and moved past, and like, oh, like now we're going to focus on our next mystery. There's some reflection, there's people in mourning, there's people grieving, there's people just being like, I can't believe that this happened. And I thought that that was a really realistic and nice touch to humanize
Cute.
both Kate and to kind of just set the scene of of the town processing what is going on and what is happening in it. So I thought that that was a really nice way to open and show that reflection. We have Regina saying that Kate has older sibling syndrome, which I feel like I can relate to as the older sibling. We have M.A. Monin asking, do the Nancy Drew characters influence any of your characters in your B&B series? Is there anybody that, because I always feel when I'm writing that I have Nancy as my main character, and then I have a Bess and I have a George in the friend group, just because that's how, like, Nancy Drew is just so embedded into who I am. But anybody showing up from Nancy's world in your books?
Oh, I would say that Colleen has a fair amount of Bess in her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I just can't let go um of Bess. But Kate is, I think, a little more, Nancy um is very even keeled. Kate is, or appears to be, but underneath it, you never know. Nancy Drew isn't written in first person, so you don't really know what she's
Mm-hmm.
thinking. But my boss used to say to us as editors, remember when you put George, Bess, and Nancy together, they're the perfect sleuth. And so, because Nancy is wonderful, but she doesn't have that much, at least in the later books, quite as much personality as she doesn't bowl you over one way or the other. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why George and Bess are so good, because they can do the bowling and Nancy can be the voice of ration, and the rational voice, and the calm, kind of like thinking person who puts all the puzzles pieces together and whatever. So I do that a little bit. I split with Kate. Instead of being Nancy, really, she's more emotional than Nancy, but she holds stuff in because she doesn't want to bring people down. I mean, there are murders that involve her family, and um, but she does take it on a lot herself. And so her daughter, her 14-year-old daughter, she's almost 15, as she's constantly reminding her mom. But she takes on a bit. She challenges her mom sometimes. I mean, they're very close, but so that you see that she's not really like Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that there is that Kate is a mom. Um, and I think it adds such a fun dynamic for readers, um, because you don't often see, in cozies it's typically like, oh, your single sleuth is looking for love, and she's young and she's got like the whole world ahead of her, and she's come back home to figure out what's going on with her life. But I love this like, and I think I've seen it across like other books as well. But there's like this new acceptance of like, hey, like let's actually have real people who've had a past and have had relationships and have they're family oriented, and they're working on keeping their family healthy and happy. When you started this series, were you always going to have Kate as she's going to be a mom, she's going to have a teenage daughter, she's going to have a younger daughter? Or is that something that she just kind of grew into as you began kind of plotting things out? And what made you want to have her be a mom?
Well, the funny thing is with this series is that I wrote it as a middle grade first, or young YA
Oh.
from Maeve's point of view. So,
Oh.
and there was like, it was it was like Maeve and not so much her mother, not like a
Mm-hmm.
Gilmore Girls sort of dynamic, but with the grandfather, with the chief. And
Oh.
so what I did was I just when I decided I wanted to write adult mysteries, and my agent didn't handle YA,
Mm-hmm.
so, and so I rewrote it, and I rewrote it twice. I wrote Kate in third person, so, you know, saying she instead of I, so you weren't as close to her. And
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't think that was as strong. And then I switched it to Kate in first person so that the family members all stayed the same, but I just changed the point of view. But I still kept a lot of Maeve, and I kept Blizz the younger. So, and my one of my daughters grew up. We had lived in this Brooklyn neighborhood. It's very, very Irish, and she had a friend named Blizz, and it was for Mary Elizabeth, but
Mm-hmm.
um, actually, it was
I
just Elizabeth.
absolutely love that name. I like that. What like I love it when a character has a nickname, and like the cooler, like quirkier the nickname, the better. And I was like, Blizz has got to be like one of the best nicknames that I have come across in cozies. I like it's so good. It's so good. Um,
Sometimes
and
people call her Blitz. It's like, no, it's not Blitz, it's Blizz. But when they're
mhm.
remembering that they read it that way because it's sort of an odd name, I know.
Well, I absolutely love it. I think it's fabulous. Um, we've got some questions. So these are very like plot related questions. So I'm hoping that we aren't going to spoil some of what but Regina needs to know, when will the secret be revealed? And so I'm maybe a future, I'm assuming a future book, but there's the secret that we have kind of
Mm. Well,
without
um, I I know that it can't go on. I can't stretch that on too long,
Mhm.
because that would be annoying. But I just wanted all the characters to be ready,
Mhm.
and the family being what it is, with like
Mhm.
they're all very vulnerable in different ways with this secret. So I have to be sure everyone's okay before I
Mhm.
um drop the
Drop the truth
bomb.
bomb.
Yeah.
And if folks are wondering what the secret is, you've got to go pick up the books. The jig is up and buried in Shamrocks. So that was a good question to cue that up for us, Regina. Regina also says, I was floored at what Kate's ex-husband did when he discovered the body. We have M.A. Monin saying the chief is one of my favorite characters in the series, and I agree. I love that he's their dad and they still call him the chief. I that's such a uh that just like captures not how like that just captures how much like a police officer, how much their family is involved in them being a police officer and how much that is like ingrained
Yes.
into their lives. Is that something you know from experience, or how is like how just maybe kind of talk a little bit about like the family structure in the final moments that we have together, because we
Yeah,
are
sorry,
quickly running out of
I've
time.
been taking too
No,
long
no,
to
no.
answer the
That is
questions.
this is your moment. This is what it's for.
Um, when we lived in that neighborhood, as I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, in Brooklyn, it was a cop neighborhood. It was cop and fire and
Oh.
sanitation, but
Mm-hmm.
there were generations of families, and they often lived in the same. They had these big houses, these brownstones and whatever, and they would live on different levels of different family members and whatever. So that's kind of where the B&B idea came to, because I wanted to have everyone living together, so they would be constantly bouncing off of each other. And so anyway, a lot of those families, they would invite us over for parties, but we brought our family over and their family would be there, and then they'd have their extended family. It was just like crazy, and neighbors and whatever. And it was all wonderful, but it's like the whole family joins the force.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in this particular neighborhood, many of your neighbors were on the force. So that meant all the families. It was super intense that way. And I really loved it. And so many of them, like, men and women are just so heroic. But my children were about, oh gosh, 10 and 12. I'm trying to remember when 9/11 hit.
Oh.
And then we saw the opposite. So I moved to New Hampshire here in 2008, but I think 9/11 had a huge effect on how because I saw what it did to the families, because there were funerals every weekend.
Oh.
And sadly, sometimes more than one member, because they all went running down, even though we were in Brooklyn and it was far, but they all went running to help immediately. And, a lot of people lost their lives, and sometimes more than one person in a family. And the Farrells that's in the series, we had a Farrells. And actually, I kept the name Farrells. I actually have a picture of it over there on my desk. I almost held it up. And it's like the foundation of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But the church was right up the road. And that was another center of the community. And, the cops would be there in their dress uniforms for the funerals, and they'd be having the bagpipes play on the church steps for the funeral, and they'd all be gathering outside of Farrell's, not drinking, but just, well, maybe some of them were, I don't know, but but they were just out there waiting for the funerals to start and listening to those bagpipes. And people's windows would be open because they did it all year long, like following 9/11. And when I saw that, oh boy, this is a long-winded answer, sorry again. So that's part of why even though my family isn't in law enforcement, I felt it somehow. So
that's a beautiful story, and a reminder of just the goodness. Yesterday on the show we were talking about like whether or not people are inherently good, or like, how do we become who we are in life. And knowing that those folks just like ran to help is just, it breaks my heart, but also like gives me hope that goodness does win in the end. So thank you for sharing that, Lisa. That made me emotional.
I'm sorry, we're going bringing everyone down. I'm sorry.
No. It's a good kind of emotional, because it especially now, like, we forget that, we're all in this together, and that we all need to come together to help each other. A couple comments from folks in the chat really quickly. Will Maeve be more involved in sleuthing despite Kate trying to keep her out of sleuthing in future books, you think?
Absolutely.
And especially knowing that story of like how Maeve, it was Maeve that was originally kind of the star of the show. I think that is so cool that you did that. We have Regina saying, I love that the mom is clearly the anchor of the family, and she is such a calming presence in the midst of the chaos. And we have Books by Patricia saying, thank you for sharing that memory with us, because that is important. It's important to remember, especially with Memorial Day being this past weekend. Time always flies when we are having fun and talking cozy mysteries. Buried in Shamrocks is out now, available at your favorite bookish retailer. We like to ask before we leave, and I want to remind folks that we do have a giveaway that Lisa has generously offered. I'm going to put the giveaway info up while we are chatting. Lisa, any books, movies, TV shows, what else? Podcasts, audiobooks that have been giving you joy recently, that you'd like to share with folks?
Well, I just watched Jack Ryan Ghost War.
Oh, nice.
And I really like John Krasinski as Jack Ryan. I liked
I
Harrison
love
Ford
him.
as Jack Ryan, and
Hmm.
some people, are saying maybe the movie isn't as strong as some of the others, but I loved it. And the same day, earlier in the day, I saw Devil Wears Prada too,
Oh, yes.
and I
I loved
loved
it.
it.
I was so pleased by what they did. Like I was just like, this could not have been a better sequel
I
in
was,
my
and
mind.
I got teary-eyed at the end, like I'm coming out, and but I wasn't the only one. These women are and
Yeah.
not, even the men were quiet. It was almost like a little bit of nostalgia, like they did it well,
Yes.
like they, you
Yes.
know.
I 1,000% agree. I was so happy with it. And I want to see, there's a musical that it's over, uh, I was over in London and walking by the theater of The Devil Wears Prada. They have the big red shoe up on top of it. It's like, I got to see this at some point, because I just can't imagine like songs, Miranda Priestley like and song, but it also feels like it would make sense. Um, and my recommendation for everybody, if is mystery related. It was, if you're a fan of like Broadchurch type of mystery drama, it was called Under Salt Marsh. I watched it on the plane. It was like a six episode series. And I have no idea what channel it was on because it was just like on the plane, but it was really good, about like a town in that is on like this causeway, and like they're like in danger of like getting like wiped off because of the rising sea levels, but like the town is like, I need to like stay, and like this is where our people live, these are our farmlands, but then people start showing up murdered around town, and it was really good. I was very very
Wow, that
like
sounds
surprised by how much,
awesome.
yeah, by how
What
much
is
I enjoyed it.
what was
Under
the name
Salt
again?
Marsh. And it
Okay.
was the
Right.
folks that were in it. I recognized the male detective from something, but the woman detective, who is actually, she's a retired detective who is now a teacher for the town. She was not, what was it? Was it Caroline Bingley in the Pride and Prejudice that
Oh,
Keira Knightley was in. And that was like the only thing that I've ever seen her in my life. And I was like, that's Caroline Bingley. And she was fabulous. I loved watching her. So it was really good. Highly recommend it. Very good mystery. And it surprised me. The mystery did surprise me, which is rare. So that's always a win. Just like having you here with me this afternoon, Lisa, has been a win for
this
my
was so
week.
much fun. Thank you
It
so
was,
much for.
oh, you're very welcome. This was absolutely delightful. I thank you so much for the comments and questions, you guys, in the chat. That was fabulous. It made me feel like I had a co-host since JC isn't here. You guys stepped in and really really helped us out today. Again, a quick reminder that we have our giveaway, which is either, if you haven't read anything from the Irish Bed and Breakfast Mysteries, Lisa will send you a copy of The Jig is Up. If you read book one and would like book two, she will send you a copy of book two, Buried in Shamrocks. And if you've already read both of them, then you're in for a treat, and
We
you will
have
find
to,
out when you get it.
we'll come up with
Um,
something for you.
and I'm sure, knowing Lisa, that it will be super fabulous. So send me an email. I'm going to keep the giveaway open until Friday evening. So instead of 24 hours, I'm going to do all the way to the end of the week. So for folks watching after the fact, you have time. Just send me an email. Doesn't have to have anything in it. And just let me know that you would like to be entered. And I will make sure that you are in the drawing for the winner. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. Really quickly, where can folks find you if they want to stay connected?
Oh, you can find me at my website, which is lisaqmatthews, one word.com. Matthews has one T. So
Yes.
if you're just Googling or something, um there are other Lisa Matthews out there.
but
with
Lisa
2 T.
Q Mathews with 1 T. We will have
1 T.
her website in the show notes for you, so you can click on it right from our description. But as always, folks,
Oh,
thank you very much for being here. Lisa, did I cut you off? Anything else
oh
you'd like
no,
to
I
say?
just suddenly remembered, and one of my blog mates is here, but I blog at Chicks on the Case. So
Perfect.
please
Yes.
come and visit us there. We do mystery, romantic suspense, cozy mystery, but we're just 8 authors and we have guest authors on, and 3 times a week. So come visit us.
It's fabulous.
Thank you, Patricia.
I remember the first time that I felt like an actual author was when oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting. I think it was Ellen reached out and asked, like, would I like to do a guest blog on Chicks? And I was like, oh my God, they know who I am. And I was like freaking out. So
Yeah.
that is a fabulous community that folks should check out. And we appreciate our wonderful viewers for joining us live. And for those of you who are watching after the fact, we greatly appreciate your support. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We are inching our way towards our 1,000 subscriber goal for the year. And
Woo.
really quickly, to sign us off, we have that this particular episode of A Bookish Moment was sponsored by voice actor Rosemary Cline. Rosemary loves to share information about bringing your story to audio with no strings attached. You can find her at rosemaryklinenarrator.com and rosemarynarrator@gmail.com. I have her information in our show notes as well. So if you are an author that is interested in bringing your book to life, you can feel free to reach out to her for a consultation with no cost, which is a very, very generous offer to talk about the world of audiobook narration. So thank you again, Rosemary, for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Lisa, so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for spending a little more than a moment with us, but I hope it was worth your time because I certainly had fun. And hanging out with Lisa is always a joy. We'll be back with more episodes next week, so stay tuned for more fun. Until we connect again, you guys, stay bookish. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Sarah.